CCC.
Okay, so I'm here for another episode of Ceez's Capital Conversations with Mr. Kevin Jones. This is someone I'm very happy to talk to. He's running for judge in Durham, something that's very important. If you're looking in the news the past few months, you see that it's important. Having a good judge is very important. And he's an attorney now currently. So we're going to sit down and we're going to talk with him a little bit about his campaign. And as well as criminal justice reform and things like that. Right. So, Mr. Jones, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Ceez, thanks for having me. Just let me say that right off the top. I'm so excited to be here. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My family, we moved from Detroit when I was a sophomore in high school. We moved to Columbia, Tennessee. My dad was a General Motors worker, got laid off, and picked up a job with the Saturn plant. They don't even make those cars anymore, but
right.
That's how I ended up coming to the South. But I came to North Carolina in '97. So I've been in North Carolina now longer than I lived in Detroit or Tennessee. So right. I consider myself a North Carolina adopted son.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's awesome. So, like for Durham, Durham has a huge, I want to say huge, but it has a larger Black population than most, right? And it's very important that we have representation within the criminal justice system, but especially behind the bench as well. So can you tell me a little bit what got you into law? What made you want to get into that and study it and everything like that? When did you decide this is something that I definitely want to dedicate my life to?
Yeah, believe it or not, I've always wanted to be a lawyer, even from when I was a child. I say 8, 9 years old, people would ask me, what do you want to be? I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. And I can't really pinpoint where it came from. I don't know if it's because my mom, my grandma were watching Perry Mason or what, but the idea of becoming a lawyer was something that was always with me. And if I have to really dig down on it, it may have played a part with the fact that I'm the oldest of 5 children. I have 2 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters. And so I was always in that position of the dispute settler. The protector, the one who kind of sets the law. Like my parents will set the law, and then I was the one who kind of make sure I enforce it with my brothers and sisters.
Right.
And so that's really the closest thing I could think of as to why I wanted to become a lawyer, because that's what I see that lawyers doing as they're protectors. They're protectors of the people. They're teachers. They're the ones who kind of help come up with solutions to problems that people may be facing. And so that is where, that's kind of how my judicial philosophy is. That's how I see the justice system.
Okay.
And so, that's where it came from. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So on a day-to-day, you're an attorney currently. So what do you do? What do you do now? What do you focus on? And what's your day-to-day and what is something what do you do now?
Right. Excellent question. So when I graduated from law school, I started working with the public defender's office in Durham. Awesome. So I was totally immersed in criminal defense work coming fresh out of law school. I did that for 3.5 years. And after I left the public defender's office, I used that experience, that trial experience, that criminal defense work experience. I used that to build my practice as the foundation. And then from there, I springboarded from the criminal defense work to doing civil work, which includes personal injury cases, drafting contracts, and things of that nature, helping people start small businesses, but also handling family law matters, which includes child custody cases, divorces, and things of that nature. So I consider myself a general practitioner, but I do have those 3 main areas that I practice: criminal defense work, family law, and child custody. So, criminal defense work, family law, and civil cases. So those are the three main legs of my practice. But I do handle other matters that come through the door. And these practice areas is heavy client interaction, working with clients on a day-to-day basis. It's heavy in the courtroom. Like, I don't spend a lot of time just in my office pushing paper around. Like, I spend a lot of time actually in the courthouse,
Right.
Working with clients on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And so that experience has been invaluable for what I'm trying to do now, because the almost 20 years I spent working with clients in and out of the courtroom and trying cases has really been the stepping stone for where I'm headed now, which is to the district court bench.
Definitely. And what's awesome about that, from what, you know, what I want the audience to understand about that is he's in touch with the community, meaning he knows he's not working for a private practice to where, you know, he's out of touch, where he's just dealing with rich people, where he doesn't know the plights of the everyday citizen. So that's something that is very important, because, you know, when you're trying cases and things like that, you're able to take all of that information into account, you know, whenever you decide to make a decision, and things like that. Sorry, the lawn guys just came by for some reason, but it's all good.
I understand. It's a
But
beautiful
yeah,
day out there. It's time to get
yeah,
it
it
done.
is. It is. But yeah, I'm just so glad to have you on, and actually to know that about you, about your background, because that's something that I didn't know. I knew that you were that you had worked in the public defender, but I didn't know all that other stuff. So that's important, because, you know, you're in touch with people, you interact with people on a daily basis, you build those relationships, and it shows that you care. The continued effort to make sure that you are in touch with the people. Guys, he doesn't have to do that. That's something that that you've gone out of your way to do. So that is very, commendable, and respectable. And that's why I wanted to interview you and try to do anything that I could do to kind of help you out, and try to get your name out there, because it's important. Especially with our community, we need to support people like you, like yourself.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say too, if I can just add, my campaign is focused around the theme of the campaign is in pursuit of greater justice. And I define that, my campaign is defining greater justice as this idea that we can never be satisfied with the status quo within the justice system.
right.
Always have to be willing to push further, push for more rights, push for more equality, push for more equity within the justice system.
Definitely.
And the point that you made earlier about being in touch with the people, and I think the time that I spent at the public defender's office, the time that I spent in private practice, has really helped me have boots on the ground with what's going on in the community, what's going on with our people in the streets, and what is society dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And I think what happens and I talk about this status quo mentality, this business as usual mentality that happens in the courtroom, is because those who are responsible for administering justice, police officers, sheriff deputies, attorneys, and judges, sometimes can get detached from what's going on in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're detached from what's going on in real life, justice can't be served.
Right.
Justice can't be served.
Right.
And so that is what I'm pushing for, greater justice, because I feel like I have the skills and a responsibility to reach everyone that appears before the court.
That's awesome.
Prior to becoming a lawyer, I was a teacher, and I taught 5th grade in Rocky Mount, North Carolina for 3 years. And that time as a classroom teacher really showed me the importance of meeting people where they are. You have to meet the students where they are to get them to reach their academic success. Right. And I think the same thing is true whether I'm working with clients in my office or when I'm on the bench and I'm presiding over cases. I have to be willing to meet the people where they are. And it goes back to your point. You can't meet people where they are if you're not connected with what's going on in their community, if you're not connected what's going on in their real life. And so that's what I want to bring to the bench.
That's awesome. And that's something that's really needed, because me as you know, as just a regular citizen, I can feel, you feel the status quo, you know, you feel like, and that's why, you know, one thing why I do this podcast and why, you know, I care about community outreach and stuff like that is because, like, I was taught you're supposed to make the world a better place when you leave it, you know. So I think too often we put the responsibility off on someone else, right? Instead of like taking personal responsibility, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do my part, right? And a lot of times we don't have empathy for one another or empathy for the plights that are going on within our community. And you know, income inequality, all the things that are going on right now. Sometimes those are like, you know, those are catalysts to some of the things that we see within the criminal justice system, right? So uh, I, I say all that to say it is very, it's a breath of fresh air hearing you, especially at the position that you're in and the position that you're running for, with that train of thought, because I feel like the world and our community in general would be a way better place if we, you know, met people where they're at, but then also like tried to elevate them as well.
That's
So
right. That's
yeah,
right.
because one thing I did see was that like we're having an issue as far as like our jails are disproportionate, whereas, you know, uh, our people make up like 63% of the people that are incarcerated, whereas we're only 38% of the population within Durham County. So it's kind of like, how do we, like, what can we do to kind of like address that? Like, how can we like, all right, so how do we get it to where nonviolent offenders aren't doing jail time, right? That's, I guess we could start there, right?
Right, right, right. Well, I think it starts with, like I said earlier, understanding and trying to get to the root cause of a lot of things that go on in the community. But let me back up a point.
Okay.
There are some people who believe, and I believe they're wrong in their thought process, that the percentages are off because somehow Black people, people of color, are more prone to commit crimes. Like, some people have that
Yeah.
wrong thinking.
Right.
It's just wrong to think that because of the color of your skin, that makes you more prone to commit crime.
Exactly.
But you can't deny the numbers.
Right.
So if you go into any criminal courtroom or traffic courtroom, you go into that courtroom and you see the majority of the people in there are of minority background, African American, Hispanic. Um, there's something wrong.
Right.
There's something wrong, and we have to be willing to say what it is.
Right.
And I believe that a lot of it has to do with the the way our system is rooted in some inequalities and inequities that are surrounding race.
Right.
And we can't turn a blind eye to that. And
Right.
what that means is there may be some communities that are being overly policed.
Right.
And we have to be willing to say that. And
Yes.
let's address it. Where when you go into a courtroom and the 90% of the folks in the courtroom are of minority descent, and it has to be a question. Okay, well, what's going on with, why are these numbers so out of whack?
Yeah.
And it's not because the people in the courtroom are more prone to commit crimes.
Right.
That's not it. That's not it.
Right.
But once you tackle that question and have some discussions, some real hard discussions about that, the next step is looking to root causes. Like, is there something going on with a lack of resources within the community?
Yes.
Is there something going on with a lack of opportunity for growth? Is there something wrong with the income inequality within these communities?
Yes, sir.
In Durham, just like in a lot of cities around the country, there's a lot of urban development, gentrification, however you want to call it, a lot of progress being made. And I'm not against progress being made, but we can't expect when progress is being made all around and the people who actually live in this community are not able to partake in some of that progress. There's going to be some dissonance there, and it has to be addressed.
Got to. Yes, sir.
And so what you said earlier is that if one rises, we all should be able to rise together.
Yes.
And that is what greater justice looks like.
Awesome.
And so those are some ways that we can address it.
Awesome. Awesome. So I do want to tell, okay, so let's tell the people exactly what you're running for. So what are you running for?
So I'm running for district court judge in Durham County.
Okay.
I'm running for seat 3.
Okay.
Seat 3, Durham County district court judge.
Okay.
The Democratic primary is May the 17th.
May 17th.
Early voting starts April 28th.
Okay.
So I don't want folks to wait until May 17th. May 17th, some people just like, I'm gonna vote on that day.
Right.
But I don't want folks to miss that opportunity. So I'm pushing everybody, April 28th, that's when you can come out. Come out to vote Kevin Jones for district court judge.
Definitely.
It's so important. That's another strategy we as a people can employ is we cannot undervalue our right to vote and to be a part of this process. A lot of times these local elections, the school board, the city council, the mayor, these are the elections, the district attorney, the judges, these are the elections that really will affect you on a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
I'm not saying anything against Brother Joe Biden or Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C. That's great. But the reality is what Joe Biden is doing, what Kamala is doing has an effect on you. But what your district attorney is doing, what the judges are doing, what the mayor is doing, that has a more real effect on you on a day-to-day basis as far as where your children go to school. So we have to be more aware of this, and we have to be willing to participate in these local elections.
Definitely.
So that's something else I really implore everyone to let's get out, let's get activated, let's get educated about what these local politicians are doing.
Definitely, because and that's the reason why I wanted to have you come through and I wanted to interview, is because I feel like we need to make our local politicians the superstars that we make these national politicians, because at the end of the day, you guys are the game changers. You guys are the ones that impact lives on a daily basis. And that's what we need to really focus on. So that's why one of my missions is to kind of get the youth to care about their local officials, local politics. We're trying to, basically what I'm trying to do is we're trying to make this cool, because it is, at the end of the day, we need to unite together and we have to make the changes, but we can see the changes if we work together,
Right.
So this is even in business, just every aspect of life. If we're able to work together and come together, we can see the future that we want, right? So that's really why I had you come, really had you come by, is just because that's very important, and I'm very grateful for your time and everything, because this is invaluable. And because
Yes.
especially young Black men like myself, we need to hear this information. We need to know. It's so easy to get jaded, to say, F these people, F those people, everybody is, everybody's this, everybody's that. But that's not the case. We really do have soldiers within these apparatuses working, but we have to identify them and get behind them and support them. So that's basically what I'm trying to do with my mission. So I'm really happy that you came by and talked to us and everything. So before you go, you've already told us basically why you're running, but just just a quick 30 seconds, give the people why you're running, why Kevin Jones is running.
Thank you. Well, I'm running because I owe it to the citizens of Durham to give back to the community that I've received so much from. I've been practicing law for almost 20 years. In that time of 20 years, I've gained practical skills and knowledge in the courtroom and trial practice and representing clients and all of that. But all of that has brought me to this point where I've been able to look back, look at the district court bench and see where the skills, the perspective that I have, I can be a true asset because I believe these things are missing. These things are missing from the court right now.
Right.
What we're missing from the court is someone who's willing to look at an individual from a holistic standpoint. Someone who's willing to look at the individual and look at these cases and not see just a number, right, not just a name on a docket. But this is a real life human being who's looking for help from the court. Whether I've seen defendants, witnesses, victims of crime, all be berated and humiliated by the court. That should not be the case. Right. And that's what I want to change. I want to bring a new, fresh perspective to the bench. Someone who's going to have empathy for victims of crime, defendants, all of those who are looking for plaintiffs, all of those who are looking for relief from the court. I want them to see someone on the bench who's a human being first and who's going to care, who truly cares about what's going on in their lives. Definitely.
Yes, sir. And that's awesome. So that's been Mr. Kevin Jones. You guys, where can the people follow you at? How can they support you? What can we do?
Well, my campaign is I always say WW. I guess we don't do that anymore. Yeah. Kevin Jones. I'm showing my age. Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones, the number 4. Kevin Jones for the number 4 judge.com. Okay. Kevin Jones, the number 4.com. That's my website. You can check me out, check my platform out. Also, sign up for volunteers. We really need volunteers to help work these polls, to get the word out, knock on doors, make phone calls. But I'm also on social media, Facebook, the committee to elect Kevin Jones, Jones the Judge. You can find me on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, Jones the Judge. Just follow me, help spread the word. There's something great going on here in Durham. You can be a part of it. Let's join this campaign for the pursuit of greater justice.
Awesome. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna definitely volunteer for you. I'll help out as much as I can. And I would suggest that, everybody who's within the community who cares and wants to be a part of this change, that they help out too. But I really do appreciate you for your time. Thank you again for coming on Ceez's Capital Conversations. It's been
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Keep doing the great work you're doing.
Yes, sir. No problem at all. No problem at all.
Yeah. And it's Bunyan coming from the land of the milk and honey, baby. That's why YCG.